Hello everyone, it's Cherie. Welcome to my channel. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all happy. I hope you had a fun, safe Halloween holiday. I had a really good time with the fam bam. So today I'm going to make some pockets from Roxy weekly challenge over at Roxy Creations. And I'm going to use those pockets to help me make a patch page. So I have two sizes. I knew that I wanted one to be kind of tall, like maybe 8 inches, and then the other pockets I wanted them to be the small, like a 5 by 7 is what I was going for. But I kind of messed up my measurements, and my small pocket was really small, but it was okay. I made it work. So the papers that I'm using are just some lightweight Anna Griffin scrapbooking paper, and they're actually my favorite types of papers to use when I make these pockets. They're kind of like coin envelope pockets maybe, but like I said, I'm gonna link Rachel's video because she really does a good job explaining how to do these, and I mean I'll kind of walk you through my process a little bit, but I had to make a whole bunch of these before I finally got it squared away because it was doing a number on my brain, and my envelopes kept coming out all kinds of wonky, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing wrong, but I just made a whole bunch until I was happy with the end result. So this is the small one, and I'm not sure of my measurements on this one, but I know that it was too small, too small, but like I said, I made it work. And it came out really cute, so I'm happy with that. But I will say, whenever I scored, I figured out that it was best for me anyways to cut on the outside of my score line and then kind of turn my little envelope and then cut on the inside of my score line. That was one thing that really helped me because my cuts were a hot mess, let's just say that. And then I still have to do a little trimming here and there along the way, but that's okay. And then I just kind of line up my my inside corners. I tried it both ways. I tried to line it up from the two flaps together, and then I try to line it up from the inside. But you know, it's not going to be perfect because it's handmade. It's not like it's a a die cut or whatever that you can, or a printed copy that prints and then you can cut it out and it's like super perfect. So because I'm doing it by hand, there's going to be some little tiny imperfections, but that's okay. They're barely noticeable. So yeah, so I'm just trimming up my pocket, and I think it looks cute, and I'm going to go ahead and ink it. So like I said, I'm going to take these pockets and I am going to patch them together with some other elements, and then we're going to patch them on an Edith Holden page on the opposite side. So that was my first little pocket, and then the second one I messed up on, and it was way too skinny, and so I had to do another one. But I did have two that I had previously made, the two red ones, and I had made those when she first came out with the challenge at the beginning of the year, and they were still in my box. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and use these because they're red and they're pretty and they'll work just fine for Christmas. So I'm just gluing those little flaps down with some art glitter glue, which seems to work out pretty good. And there's my little pocket. Like those two there are the ones that I had previously made. So, but I will tell you my measurements that I used whenever I was cutting. I knew I wanted my pocket to be 3 inches wide. So I cut my paper down to 6.5 by 10. And then I scored at 1.75, scored at 4.75, then I turned my page and I scored at 1.5 for the top little flap, and then a 1/2 inch at the bottom. So with this, I'm just grab me some ledger, and I like the way that it looks, that pocket and the ledger together. So I had like this really big piece of ledger paper, and I just went ahead and trimmed it down and got me some sizes that I thought would work out good. So I'm just using my glue stick to tack those together. So there's 3, and then I have this little one. And I was going to cut that down, but then I was like, well, let me check my little pouch of ledger scraps and see if maybe there's something smaller. That way I can save that big piece for another project in the future. And I just go ahead and glue it, and then I trim off what I need. And I'm just tacking it down with my my glue stick, because I am going to stitch these together. Now obviously, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can use a really good glue. Like I have used our glitter glue before, and it seems to do pretty well. So that is an option. So now I'm just going to go ahead and stitch these, and some of them I put my paper on the inside part of the pocket, and then others I put on the outside. So it doesn't really matter what side you put it on. You just have to make sure that when you're stitching that you don't, your little envelope flap part, that you don't stitch that down. You don't stitch that closed. You want to make sure that it's up like how it is there. So I really like these little patch pages, and I like this one because it does have like a built-in pocket as well as a surface to journal on, if that makes sense. Like we've got a pocket there, but obviously the other side, it just looks like a piece of scrapbooking paper with some ledger paper that you can use as a journaling spot, but it's a pocket. So now I'm going to go ahead and just trim these down, and I think I'm trimming them to about 6 inches widthwise. And I knew that I was going to attach them to, like I said, an Edith Holden page, book page. So I had my Edith Holden pages all picked out, and I knew which one I wanted to go with, which patched, I don't even know, patched pocket. So I'm a little short, so I need to add an extra little piece just to give it a little bit of length, which I'm good with, because the more that you put on, the more patches that you do, it makes it more interesting and fun to look at. So I like this this scrapbooking paper, excuse me, here. And I like the colors, and I thought it went well, and I was just kind of trying to decide which. I mean, it doesn't really matter because they're both the same. But yeah, I was just figuring out which way I wanted it to be. So like, even though the flap right there is on the inside, when that is going to be stitched into a journal, it still looks like there is, you know, that page you can still journal on as if it was just a regular page to journal on, but it has a pocket. So I really like these pages because it has a function as well. It's pretty and functional. So I'm just kind of cutting my piece down and making sure that it's the size that I need it to be. And so then I have to decide, okay, what side of the book page am I going to put it on? And honestly, same thing, it doesn't really matter. Like, I could have put it on the top of my my little flap from the book page instead of on the inside, and it would have been fine, but I just went ahead and stuck it on the inside. And then I am going to stitch this all the way down as well, just to hold it in place. But like I said, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can use glue. So as you can see there, it's a fun, neat little page. You got a little pocket, you got some ledger, you got your little Edith Holden page, and it works. So then I'm going to basically do the exact same thing with the other ones. And I'm just picking out my page for my book, and I've got to find just a tiny little piece there. And honestly, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can just cut the book page down, because unless it's like in the middle of your signature, you're not going to be able to tell, because there'll be other pages in between it, so it really wouldn't matter. But I like the little extra bit of color there on the bottom of the page. So I just decided to go ahead and lengthen it. So then the little one, I didn't have a page for that, so I have to come up with something different, and I decided to just use scrapbooking paper. And I like this green plaid, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. I kind of went through my signature that this patched page here is going to go in, and that kind of helped me decide what scrapbooking paper to pick. And like I said, this is going to be a 5x7, so I'm just kind of scoring it and deciding which piece I want to be in the front and which piece I want to be in the back. So you can see my pocket there is not the full length of the page, and I had intended it to be the full length page, but I made a boo-boo. But I said, you know what, it'll still be just fine. It'll work out just fine. It just won't be a long pocket, it'll just be a short little baby pocket, but it still goes. So I just grabbed my little envelope with little scraps, and found me a little piece that I thought worked. And I was just double checking to see how I did it, because I forget myself. And yeah, I'm just gonna glue that down. And I like both those because I feel like they both complement that Anna Griffin page there. So when I held it up there and it worked out great, I didn't realize that it was not quite long enough. So I have this little coffee mug that I have little strips in, and I just grabbed my coffee mug and I found that little piece there, and that is from a Graphic 45 cut apart sheet that was in the cup, and I liked it a lot because I felt like it definitely added a little Christmas touch to the page. And the back side was green, and it just kind of blended in with the other green, and it didn't look too crazy or wonky, so I just went with it. And I really like how this page turned out. I think it looks like fun. Looks like a fun page to tell your story on, you know? And then I just go around and I just stitch everywhere that I had put my glue. And that is the second one, third one. So yeah, so that's how the page will be. And then this one, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Oh, I remember what happened. I couldn't find one of the red envelope. It was lost and it had disappeared. Couldn't find it anywhere. And then something came up and I had to stop working. And then I went back to it like a day or two later, because you know we had the holiday and everything. So this video is actually taken over the course of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. I mean, I was doing other things, but I couldn't find that envelope. So when it was time for me to do it, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to make a new one. And then, of course, I found it. Thank goodness. So yeah. So same thing here. I'm just found me a piece of paper that I felt went well. And you wouldn't have to use scrapping paper. You could use like a tea-dyed paper, or even another piece of ledger, or whatever kind of paper that you like. So these are my 4 pages that I made. And I really like how they all look. They're fun. So now I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just make some tags for these pockets. And I wasn't gonna do anything that was gonna be super duper creative. I kind of wanted to keep it simple because it's kind of a tight fit, you know, with those pockets. So I didn't want to add like, you know, a bunch of stuff to give it a whole bunch of dimension. So, and I have like these glue book pages that I've folded longwise for tags and things, and I thought, well, I already have a bunch of these, so I'm going to go ahead and use those for my base. So this is just a scrap from Roxy Creations Christmas kit, and that's what I decided to use. I just kind of printed out her tall Christmas kit because I think that's the one I'm going to use whenever I make my tall Christmas journal. And I'm really hoping to share that process with you guys if everything in life, you know, stays smooth. If there's no hiccups along the way, that is the plan. So yeah, so I just printed out, like I said, that document journaling kit, and I've been using the pieces, and I tore some of them in half, and I was like, this would be a good, you know, little tag. So I just grabbed them and was like, I'm just going to use these. Just because they're already, the paper's already like tag worthy, I guess. It just works, you know, those collage pages, they work great for all different kinds of things. So I just use my glue stick and stick it down, and I'm just gonna add like just a little bit, like maybe a label. I'm gonna ink it and stitch around it and give it a little topper on all of them, and then see if they fit in my pockets. And a couple of them I did have to trim down a little bit more, but it wasn't a big deal. But you definitely want to make your tags skinnier than obviously the width of your envelope, because you want it to be able to slide in and out fairly easy. So with this one I decided to just go with a little piece of lace on the top. And that label there, I think is from Junk Journal Studio. Gail got me going on those, and I will, if I remember, I'll link that shop below as well. And I just went with Jingle just because they're bells, and I kind of giggled at myself because it's just like an obvious choice, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. We're just gonna go with Jingle. So that's the first tag, and then I'm gonna put it off to the side because I was like, I'll go ahead and stitch them all at the same time, is what I was thinking. But you know, I think one thing and then I'm like 2-second Tom, I forget, and then I start stitching, and then I go to put the tags in the pocket, and oh my gosh, this one's not stitched because I forgot it. So I really love the flower image and the background on this paper here. I think it's probably one of my favorite papers out of the whole kit, just because I love the pattern that the flower sits on in the background, and it's just so pretty. I just love it. So I just glued that on there. I'm trimming around it, and I was going to trim that piece off, but then I was like, you know, maybe I'll leave it and I'll just fold it over so it will add a little, you know, just a little touch of something on the back side. And then these little papers here, that paper pad I got from Temu, and I accidentally ran across it. It was tall and lined and different, and I was like, oh, this will work perfect for these kind of tags. I think it's going to be perfect for the tall journal too. So see how I just kind of folded that piece over, and it makes the back all pretty looking. And then it wasn't quite long enough, so I'm just going to add just a little bit of scrapbooking paper at the bottom, and I'm actually using the same piece that I used on the bottom of the page, and I didn't do that on purpose, it just went with the tag. So I honestly didn't even realize it until I was all done. And I was like, oh wow, this matches. So it kind of worked out pretty good. And then I cut it, but I never trust my cutting, so I was like, let me just use my trimmer just to make sure that it's straight. I like my trimmers anyways. It's just kind of peace of mind kind of thing. So I'm just going to stitch around because I totally forgot that I decided I was going to stitch them all later. And that quick. I forgot that quick. And I'm just doing a straight stitch, and then I did give it a little bit of a zigzag on the corner. So nothing super fancy, but it is pretty, and I like it, and I think it'll be fun to use as a little journaling tag, you know. But I did kind of feel like I needed a little something at the top, so I'm just going to find me a little label. And I thought that one went well. So it's a good little place to like put a date or maybe a quote, or stamp something in there if you want. But I didn't want to just glue it down. I wanted to, like I usually do, I like to give it a little anchor. So I just grabbed some washi tape, some William Morris washi tape, and used that just because it, I don't know, the colors in it just kind of went well with the tag. And then I wanted to give this one a little topper too, or I was thinking about it anyways. And yeah, that's just a little tray that I've been throwing little bits in. And that little piece there popped out, and I just felt like it went really well, but I wanted to give it a little something underneath it, because I didn't want my topper to be like really chunky, you know, because it's got to slide in that tight little spot, and I didn't want it to poke out too far because then my flap wouldn't close. So I was trying to make sure that it was the right height and not too bulky. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stitch a little zigzag through that too. So yeah, real quick and easy tags that are super pretty, thanks to Roxy Creations. So yeah, so I just do a little zigzag, and that one is done. And then I know that I had made one of these tags on camera, but I don't know, it's crazy. It's like there's a ghost that eats videos off my phone or something. Little clips. So one of them I don't, I mean, you can see it, but the process isn't on there. So this will be the last tag that I make, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to find my little glue book page. I'm going to measure my my pocket. That one's a little bit wider than the others. And I wanted to use the deer. I like the deer. I didn't realize it though that one of the deers, like his nose is has been cut off. So you only get one full head of deer right there, but that's okay. It's not really super noticeable. It still works. So I just glued that on there and trimming off my bits. And then I'm going to back it with some ledger. I'm trimming that down, and I like how this one looks a lot as well. And I don't end up putting a topper or anything on this because the deer's head is like right there. So I couldn't put anything on the top there because I don't want to cover up his face. But I do ink around it. And same thing, I'm just going to give it a little bit of that William Morris washi tape just to anchor it down. Now I do have some like really pretty staples that go in my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, like multicolored ones that would work really well for something like that, where you could just staple it at the top. And I'm not quite sure what I did with them. Honestly, I haven't really looked for them, like looked, but maybe I will in the future. So yeah, and then my fussy cuts, I have my books and I've cut out some, but I haven't gotten very far. I usually do it when I watch TV, but I've been reading, so I haven't been watching any TV lately, and so I'm not getting any fussy cutting done. But my book is really good, I'll tell you that. It's a good book. I can't remember the name of it. I know it's by Joe Abercrombie. It's called The Blade of something. So I'm just going to stitch around these or stitch around this one. I guess I didn't add anything, did I? To lengthen this one? I can't even remember. Oh, I did go ahead and just stitch on the top of that label though, just because it's pretty. I like the stitches. It looks like it's holding the label down. Instead of a staple, it's a stitch. Like what I do with my little mini fabric clusters. So this is what I made, my little patch pages. That's the other tag I made there. I can't. But yeah, here are the close-ups. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys have a blessed day. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate you guys. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye.